Got the Knicks losing in that last 3.5 minutes of that game last night. It felt like it took 45 minutes.
Oh, it did.
I mean, between the timeouts, the replays, and everything else.
Tough.
You know, the NBA would do itself a favor if it got rid of like 3 of the timeouts.
That I agree with. The 3-point stuff, I don't agree with you on. The timeout thing, I do.
All right, so last night, the 3-point stuff did hurt the Knicks, especially late in the game. Frank Ntilikina, 0 for 5. And when he went up for that final shot before he fouled out, I was like, no!
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And, so the Nets have better shooters. And they have 2 Hall of Fame players that can go to the net anytime they want. And I thought last night's game was actually a much better basketball game because guys were going to the hoop. And guys were playing off of pick and rolls. And guys were moving the ball. And I thought the Knicks moved the ball exceptionally well last night. They're just not where the Nets are. And if Kevin Durant's on that court, the Knicks have no chance. But I will say, the grittiness, the toughness, they were talking about it last night on the game. The effort that the Knicks showed, that effort will get them in the playoffs. There's no question in my mind that if they play like that, and it also shows you how much they miss Derrick Rose. The fact that Derrick Rose is not here and is still out with the COVID protocols and all that other stuff is significantly hampering part of their game. Not all of their game, just part of their game. And the amount of open shots that were missed by the Knicks in the last 5 minutes was really frustrating. And and the thing about it is that Julius Randle, he's virtually unstoppable in the paint. Virtually unstoppable. He hits a big three-pointer. But then, you've got guys that are regular NBA players. They're good players. They're not great players who have open shots and who missed, I want to say, 5 or 6 of those shots inside of 4 minutes of this game that ultimately cost the Knicks the game. Not just the bad calls and, the replays and
I know
all
what
that
you're
other
saying.
stuff.
I know. I am torn with this because I do understand both sides of the argument. Not on the call, because to me it was a bad call. But I mean, the Knicks weren't good enough last night to win that game. They really were not. It didn't come down to that. I mean, they were feverishly fighting back. They had to foul, all sorts of stuff. Of course, that call gets overturned. They had to do everything to claw back to get that opportunity. So on one hand, I'm like, they really didn't deserve to win the game because most of the game, you're looking, they're down 17, they're down 11, they're down 17 again. Even in the fourth quarter, you cut it to 4, and it's back to 7, and you cut it to 4, and it's back to 7. They were never all that close. And then the thing that was just so frustrating was the one opportunity that they had to tie the basketball game, and you've got Julius Randle with the ball. It gets ripped away from you with what I thought was a bad call. So, no, I don't think that the Knicks are on the Nets level. They're not even close to that level right now. But I wanted to see Julius Randle be able to take that shot to see what would happen. That's what I wanted. I wasn't given that opportunity as a Knicks fan. Julius Randle wasn't given that opportunity. And I understand it's unbecoming when a guy have to be held back by his teammates is going after an official. But damn it, I loved it because it showed he deeply cared about what was going on out there. And that's the edge and the passion that this franchise has missed for a number of years. So I'm not saying that all the time I'm going to love one of my players going berserk and wanting to kill an official on the court. But last night I loved it. I did. I absolutely loved it. I love this guy. God, do I love this guy in Julius Randle. And I wanted to give him a hug after the game. Be like, listen, man, keep fighting. Keep plugging along. We're behind you. And I'm so happy that fans are able to be in the building now to give him the support. Obviously, it was at Barclays last night, to give him the support that he deserves that, the Knick fan can give him. But
let's face it, he's a man on an island. He doesn't have another superstar with him. I mean, R.J. Barrett didn't play bad last night. Played fine. I mean, missed a couple open shots late in the game. And you can just see, the young guys are just not ready yet, especially when they have to go against Kyrie or they have to go against James Harden. They're just not ready. I mean, they're busting their ass trying to play defense.
Yeah.
I thought, as Mike Breen was pointing out last night, the Knicks played great defense towards the end of the game. I mean, the double teams were great. The forcing of the timeouts, for the most part, they hit their free throws. I mean, all of that stuff was good, but it just goes to show you how good the Nets really are when they're playing at the top of their game. Harden can get a basket anytime he wants. Kyrie can get a basket anytime he wants, and the Knicks just don't have those guys. That's all there is to it. I mean, I do believe that Julius Randle can get a basket anytime he wants. He's virtually unstoppable when he gets within 5 or 6 feet of the basket.
Sure.
I mean, he's just got great moves. He's got great touch around the basket, right around the basket on offense. And he's a facilitator too. He doesn't hog the ball. he'll give it up to an open guy, and inevitably that open guy is going to miss a shot. It comes down to just making shots late in games. And the Knicks literally had 5 or 6 open shots that they missed. I mean, bricked.
Of course. No, I understand. And there was one time last night, too, where, they struggle offensively. We understand that, the Knicks, a lot of times at the end of games. And you saw some of the same stuff happen last night. There was a point in this game, it was the first time that I was mad at a Tom Thibodeau rotation where Derrick Rose is out going into the game. And you can't have, with the way that this team is constructed offensively, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley all on the bench at the same time against a team like the Brooklyn Nets. You can't do that. And that, to me, was frustrating. And it's just, you're right, though. They only have so much. And when you see Kyrie, when he's at this level, so, we've seen both ends of Kyrie Irving. We've seen the disappearing without an explanation, calling the media pawns Kyrie Irving. And we're seeing this Kyrie Irving where he is the most skilled basketball player with the ball that is out. Him and Steph Curry do things that take your breath away. And when Kyrie's doing what he did last night and when he had the 40 points the other night, it takes your breath away, and he says all the right things after the game like he did. Like, this is the other end of it. And if this is the Kyrie Irving that you're going to get in the postseason, then you're right. Then nobody's going to stop him. And even if, Kevin Durant's going to come back. Even if he didn't come back, and this is the Kyrie Irving and James Harden that you're going to get in the postseason, then nobody's going to stop them. But, yeah, you're in awe of the talent that they have on that team. And this, I guess if you're a Nets fan, you're a little frustrated. You didn't blow the doors off the Knicks when you had the opportunity. You let them get back in the game, and it was a one-possession game, and the Knicks had the ball. I guess you're a little frustrated with that. But, really, in the end, you're going to be all right as long as those guys are out on the floor.
Yeah, I agree. And, then over at MSG on the ice, my God, it was about as a fun game to watch. There were a lot of goals being scored. First period wasn't great. Bad penalties by Julian Gauthier twice, ends up going away for 6 minutes. The Flyers end up scoring on power plays. That's why the Rangers ended up losing the game last night. And plus, there were a couple guys who had bad games, lazy games. Keith Kincaid was not great in net, and that was a frustrating loss. Even though they get a point, it was an overtime loss. And the overtime, they have the puck literally for 3.5, 4 minutes. Just circling around. The Rangers have the puck, and you know this is going to happen. Puck goes down to the goalie. Kincaid throws it out to Panarin. Panarin, who's sitting there on the boards, he's exhausted because he's been out there for 2.5 minutes. And then all of a sudden, Voracek comes in and takes the puck away, and it's a breakaway on Kincaid, who has no chance whatsoever. But it's obvious that with Panarin back, they're such a better team. He is such a good player. He just makes everybody on the court, on the ice better, but it's just a frustrating loss. And again, it's just, there are guys that just have great games, every now and again, and then they're going to be a little slippage because they're young players. And Keandre Miller, I thought, had really one of his worst games last night. Threw the puck away a couple times, got beat on 2-on-1s, was not aware of where the puck was, where it was going, how it was going behind him. So again, a young player has a tough break, and you're playing with your third goalie, and you end up losing a game in overtime that you have no business losing.
All right, couple of things. One, we have to talk about the Jets and the free agent signings.
Yes.
Two, what the hell are you drinking in front of you?
I'm drinking a little C4 this morning.
C4?
Yes.
It's like neon blue.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a little C4 this morning.
It's a very interesting color for a drink.
I know. The thing is that I got such a terrible night's sleep.
Did you?
Well, first of all, that last 3 minutes of that basketball game took forever.
Why do I feel like C4 is something that you use when you're making an explosive?
Well, it's you do, but you also, I'm an explosive guy, so I just need a little extra pick-me-up this morning, so I'm using C4.
It's the same stuff that you use when you're making
dynamite.
Yeah,
no, it's not. I'm not trying to blow up stuff. It's a product called C4. It's powder. You put it in a little water.
It's a little confusing.
A little scoop, and I'll be flying here in about it.
Yeah, I would think.
Honestly, I just woke up this morning. I was like dead tired.
Yeah,
and it was just one of those mornings where
I know
I can't get it going, and
you can't get your eyes open.
I know. Talk about it because the Giants lose Dalvin Tomlinson.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Fitzpatrick signs with the Washington football team. Corey Davis is a good signing by the Jets, man. It's a really good signing.
I think Carl Lawson is too.
So do I. As a pass rusher from the Bengals, was making essentially no money. Spent his entire 4-year career with the Bengals. Was a good player. And I think when I look at these numbers that the Jets laid out, I don't. They're not ridiculous numbers. I don't think, because they're not long-term contracts. And by the way, Corey Davis, 6'3", 215 pounds, 220 pounds. Where do you see him in a uniform?
Oh, of course. I mean,
he's a stud.
And anybody who's ever played fantasy football at some point, either daily or season long, has used Corey Davis. He's a boomer bust type of guy. Some days, he'll give you that 7-catch, 110 yards, 2-touchdown day, and some day he's completely invisible. He's one of those guys. But I mean, his pedigree is tremendous. I mean, he's the all-time receiving leader in the history of college football at Western Michigan. He was a 7th overall draft pick. He sort of didn't. Well, he
fifth,
did.
I think fifth overall.
Was it 5th?
I think 5th. Yeah.
All right. Well, top 10. He is someone that didn't quite live up to that, but is extremely talented. And remember, I always remembered when Rob Saleh was on with us and he was talking about the system, and he was bringing up quarterbacks and bringing up guys who had resurrected their career in the system in which he is going to run with Mike LaFleur here with the Jets. Ryan Tannehill was one of those names he brought up. Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee with Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. Corey Davis is going to know this system already.
Jonnu Smith, who, by the way, is up in New England.
He was up in New England, yeah.
They're spending like madmen.
They were yesterday. So that's something I love about Corey Davis. Another thing I like to do with these free agent signings is, you go to the team that lost that guy and see what their take is on it. So that's what I did with Carl Lawson. I went to the greatbengalswire.com that I'm sure he'd been interviewed by. And they're upset about it. They wanted to franchise tag the guy. They thought that he was worth that. Losing him was a big deal to them.
Both fan bases, both the Titans and the Bengals, were not happy that they lost both of these players.
Absolutely.
To me, it's quality signings.
It is.
It's free agency, as New England's going to find out, it's not a panacea. I mean, you hire 2 or 3 guys here or there. That's great. You fill in your roster. You make a difference. Like Corey Davis will make a difference for the Jets. He will certainly make a difference for the Jets. And he's the type of player that Joe Douglas wants. The same thing with Carl Lawson. They'll both make differences for the Jets. There's no question about that. But it's not the numbers I'm sure the Jet fans were expecting, especially after watching what New England did.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is what I feared yesterday, and I brought it up on the air. I said, it's going to be one of those situations where, the Jet fan is going to be screaming because they got so much cap space and other teams are doing stuff and they're not. And that was most of the day. Basically it was the Patriots stealing every headline, and then the Jared Davis signing from the Lions, who was a guy who was a first-round bust, but the word on the street is that the Lions weren't using him right, and there's a lot of potential there, and he's sort of like a redeem himself contract, 1 year, $7 million with the Jets. So then that happened. It was like, this is all you're going to do? And then, no, it wasn't all they were going to do. They had 2 great signings after that in Corey Davis and Carl Lawson.
Right, and now the Giants, that's a whole different story. They lose Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Which is a bad loss. It's kind of like, I'm sure Giant fans wake up this morning, they didn't want to lose that guy.
No, hell no.
Just like the Bengals didn't want to lose Carl Lawson. But, you can't see, the thing about it is, with the salary cap coming down, there are going to be cap casualties. And, the interesting thing is how certain teams are able to sign players no matter what their situation is, like the Kansas City Chiefs. They went out and got Joe Thuney. And, instead of keeping Eric Fisher or Mitchell Schwartz tackles, they go and sign a guard.
Yeah.
And Corey Lindsey, who I really wanted for the Jets, he ends up signing with the Chargers, the center from the Packers.
Right. Now, there's one signing I really want the Giants to make.
All right, there's still a guy out there you still want them to make.
I really want them to bring
this guy. You want them Kenny Golladay?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I want Golladay, and I know that he's the Giants.
Just so you know, Golladay has had some injuries.
I understand. Last year was one of those years.
I know. It's going to be really interesting to see the contract that he gets because of what the injury he's coming off of. When I take a look at some of these names out there, Jonnu Smith, 4 years, $50 million. That was a little shocking. Nelson Aguilar, the guy who couldn't catch anything in Philadelphia, kind of resurrected his career with the Raiders, is now going back coming back east, going back to the New England Patriots. That's interesting.
Let me just tell you something. The 2 wide receivers that the Patriots signed, and Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar, they're not nearly as good as Corey Davis is.
Right, exactly.
So just stop if you're freaking out about that stuff.
And by the way, who's going to throw the balls to those guys?
Yeah, I mean,
is it going to be Cam Newton?
I guess they're banking on that. They're banking on Cam Newton being better than he was last year.
I feel like they're drafting somebody or they're trading for somebody. They can't go back with Cam being the starter for 6. They can't.
Yeah. Now, Judon's a good signing. Jonnu Smith is a guy who's, he's physically intimidating. He's one of those guys that you feel like you can't cover in the end zone. I mean, those are 2 guys for sure that are impact players for the Patriots. But, I mean, it was weird to me to see them do what they did yesterday.
Where is Kyle Van Noy going to end up?
I don't know.
That's another one. He was a big free agent signing last year for the Dolphins. They cut him. And, he's out there right now. And I'm thinking, like, would he go back to the Patriots? Or I guess not. He signed a big contract, and he's going to want some big dough. I just don't know where he ends up.
Yeah, well, it was fun. It's exactly what we expected yesterday. I know Jet fans had some agita.
It was crazy yesterday.
They had some anxiety about if their team was going to do anything. I think that you ended up in a pretty good place when it was all said and done after day 1, and there's still more time, obviously.
You tell me I have 2 wide receivers right now that are 6'3" or better, and they play bigger than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever the quarterback is going to be is going to have some pretty large targets down the field.
Yeah, now I wonder, this is something that I think about. When a guy like Corey Davis signs with the Jets, is he being told what the quarterback situation is going to be?
Nope.
But how the hell can you do that if you're a free agent?
Just because it's money? For the money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, baby.
But I think that it is. We know that. We always know that. But you're telling me the Jets were that much better than any other situation?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then good. They went and got their guy. But I would think if I'm Corey Davis, like, hell, man. Tannehill came in, it was nice, but prior to that, we went through some bad quarterback play.
Exactly.
I don't want to deal with that again.
Well, this is why I still think, man, the Jets are going with Zach Wilson. I really feel it.
You feel it. You feel it in your bones.
I do, man.
Is anything so? Do you feel it because you got your ear to the ground? Do you just feel it because it's like one of those things when a storm comes in and someone's knee starts to act up? You're just like, it's going to rain today. One of those things where your body just feels it. The barometer's going crazy, and then you get a headache. One of those things.
So wouldn't you say the Jets were very tempered in their approach to first day of free agency? You say tempered?
No, not after the 2 signings at night.
I mean, but it wasn't 5 signings. It wasn't 7 signings. It wasn't like
day 1 though. There's still guys out there.
I know there's plenty of guys out there. But what I'm saying is that there weren't like this rush like the Patriots went out there and tried to save everybody's job up there in New England.
Sure.
I feel like this is going to be like a peck here, a peck there, and then it's going to be all about the draft, and it's going to be all about rebuilding this entire team through the draft.
Well, yeah.
Because I believe that's what Joe Douglas's background is. So that tells me, like, forget Deshaun Watson. And again, these are my opinions. I'm just reading the tea leaves here. Forget Deshaun Watson. I didn't draft Sam Darnold. Somebody may want him. Maybe they get a 2nd or a 3rd round draft choice for him. And then, I'm drafting one of these kids at the top of the draft. Maybe it's Trey Lance. Maybe it's Zach Wilson. I'm telling you, both of those players are really unique players. And watching the Zach Wilson tape over and over and over again, I told you over a month ago, the thing that I like about him, and you can say whatever you want about the competition he was playing against, is the accuracy aspect of it. And he does move around, and he does do some crazy little things, flipping the ball here, flipping the ball there, like Patrick Mahomes. In other words, meaning when he's on a football field, he looks really comfortable.
Sure.
So I think the more they get into it, and if they go read they'll meet the kid, they'll talk to the kid. The coach loves the kid.
Yeah, I mean, a guy from Utah went to BYU. When he gets here to be the Jets quarterback is going to be one hell of a shock. I'm telling you right now. It's a different world. The media's scrutiny, all that stuff is something you got to think about.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, I know. And I'm sure they are thinking about that aspect of it too. And they still have to figure out, see, if they go with Sam, they don't really necessarily have to worry about bringing in a veteran backup. They can keep Flacco. They could do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't keep Sam and they trade Sam and they bring in Zach Wilson, then I believe they have to get a veteran quarterback, right? To back him up, or at least get him here, get him involved.
Get him here.
And I do know this, and it's because of the offensive system and because of where, Mike LaFleur is coming from. I guarantee you they feel whoever they put behind center, it's going to be a really good offense for them. If it's a younger player like a Zach Wilson, for him to grow in it, and they can protect him because they're going to try to run the ball first. It's going to be a lot of play action, a lot of seven-man protections. They're not going to put him back there in shotgun and spread him out all over the place.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.